Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Let me switch this tab off. Mute tab. And I've just muted the tab. Hello, Tracy. Is doing the number? There's a few Dr. Glidden could team up to do questions and answers. I'm trying to work out how my lighting's doing. How's my lighting at the moment? Let me have a quick look. Give me a 5x5 and make sure everyone is hearing and seeing me. Don't forget to share because it's really important, especially as it's Dr. Glidden. That every show is important, but particularly when we have the master of natural medicine to treat the cause and not the symptoms, to get your body to repair itself. Good evening, everyone. You're getting a 5x5 there, everyone rocking and rolling. I'm going to see if Dr. Glidden pops in. Oh, it will be popping in shortly, I think. I've got a few minutes to go. Neil 56, 5v5. Good evening, Dee and everybody. Merry old England. Good evening, Dee and fellow patriots. Tomorrow night, I'm on another show, by the way. I'm doing this show, and then at 9 o'clock, I should be live with a guy in America discussing the ballot frauds and what happened to us and what's happened in America. So it should be quite interesting. Let me see if I can find you. Let me see if I can go back again. I've got to go and find it. Oh, there it is. I should be on there tomorrow night. So let me put that out there. There it is. That's tomorrow night. And then Friday night, I'm going to be live. And then on with the 412 show. So again, with Adam, or them, whatever you want to call it. Are you still out there? Evening 5b5, the Truth Crusaders out there on locals. We've currently got, we're going up in the rankings, so please do that. I'm going to try and do as many shorts as I can on Rumble and start sticking the shorts out there and see what comes up. But one of the things that I will say to you is Dr. Glidden, a naturopathic doctor. Let me have a check that he's not come in yet. He's not pinged up on the screen yet. Adam H.E., good evening all. Hello Adam H.E. Slimming's out there. Ace Jace is out there. I'm going to talk about a few other things while I'm waiting for Dr. Glidden to pop in. Hopefully all of you is going to be watching this. We have made an executive decision, even though we had everything ready, to not stand in Gorton, in Lancashire. There's a number of reasons for that, which I will probably go into tomorrow night. Nick Buckley built up his channel on YouTube by promoting and expressing that he was English and talking about the English. And since he's been involved with Advance UK, he does not. He only talks about British, talks about Northern Ireland. I haven't heard him express anything about England. Talks about Scotland. I think he's even mentioned Stronger Together. just to make sure everyone's aware, Stronger Together is a Soviet Union slogan, right? So once everyone understands that, all I want to do is I want to see, one, if he gets elected, whether he will start speaking of England, whether he will align, because Rupert Lowe definitely needs someone aligned with him in that parliament, and we'll see how it goes from there. So there's plenty I need to look at with it, and you need to keep an eye on him as well. Certainly suggest nicely that he speaks of England. Certainly the American Constitution came from the English Constitution. It's nothing to do with the British. The British haven't got a constitution, nor should they have one, because it is a unitary state. No different to the European Union and the USSR. Sharing is caring. So share. Tracy Truism has said that. Paul's rumbling. At an advanced UK conference, Nick Butley was uncomfortable when a lady said a question about Israel. No, I watched that. And again, if you're talking about Christianity, there was a declaration from all of the Christians in the United States, in Jerusalem, and the Christian denominations that basically the main churches in Jerusalem made a joint declaration, which is really unusual. All of them agreeing that Zionism was not part of Christianity, and that is not stated in the Bible. So, and it confirmed that you was basically going against Jesus Christ if you did that, if you was promoting that. So just to make sure everyone's aware of that, we are all English, Welsh, Scottish and Irish. We are indeed. And we're waiting for Dr. Glidden to pop his head in. I don't know whether he's got in there or not yet, host. I can't actually see him, so he said he'll see me there. Not to worry, because there are other things that I can have a chat about while I'm here. So there's a number of things to say about Nick Butley. One is that he is local to that area. He's well known in that area. If you actually give a candidate between Reform and Advance, if you go on candidate only, Nick Butley would win. He is well known. The problem you've got is that Reform UK, we all know, has received 20 million from a guy that has dual nationality with Thailand, has actually got a Thai name. He is a multi-billionaire through Bitcoin and crypto money, and he gave Reform 20 million. Now, when you think about that, and then you've got Advance going up against Matt Goodwin, is it? Who I don't like as a candidate. Reform are recycled Tories, and I'm certainly not impressed with them at all. You all know my opinion on Nigel Farage. Anyone knows anything about American politics, you will understand the term Benedict Arnold, which I believe is very fitting for Nigel Farage. He is a reincarnation of Benedict Arnold. And if you don't know, Benedict Arnold was the person who betrayed George Washington and received 10,000 guineas, and a 16-year-old woman. Yes, sex was all involved then as well, just as it is now. they just about got out of America and come back to England, where he was shunned because he was a Freemason and he had betrayed a brother, because George Washington was a Freemason. He then went to Canada and set up a business, probably with his 10,000 guineas. He was shunned in Canada. He came back to England, and him and his wife are buried in an unmarked grave in Battersea in South London, Battersea Cemetery. So just to let you know, and by the way, if you speak to any American, they'll tell you a whole story. I am now going to bring in our friend, Dr. Peter Glidden. Hopefully, he's going to come up on the screen, and he will be popping up shortly. Hello. I've got no sound. I can't hear you.
Hello, Governor.
I can hear you, and I've got echo.
Oh, you do?
Well, hang on a minute. Speak again.
ZYXWVUT SRQPONM LKJIHG FED
That do. Well, it seems like the echo's gone. Just see if the audience is okay. Are you here? Is the audience hearing this okay? I think they will be. Let's get a 5v5 up there.
I think we're good.
Yeah, no, I think we're good. So, good evening.
Hello, Governor. How are you? All right?
Very well, thank you. It was funny. I was listening to an American lady. I mean, obviously, I love America, and especially the southern states. And I was listening to there's a famous lawyer that's from Texas and involved with all the ballot screening out there, and she was talking, and it reminded me of a story. I was talking to a southern lady who I was staying with in Georgia, and I said to her, "Have you ever had a citation, like what we call a career?" And she went, "No, I've always done exactly what my mother taught me." And I said, "What's that?" And she said, "You simply open your chest a little bit, stick your chest out, and turn on the sugar, honey."
That's how they do it in the South.
Yeah. And I thought it was hilarious, the way she came out of it. Yeah.
How are you doing, man?
I'm very well. There's a few things I was going to talk to you about tonight, funny enough, but there's obviously a lot going on politically out in America at the moment, but also over here with Mandelson, who was noted in the Epstein files, and it looks like he passed confidential 500 billion information on the markets to Epstein just before we was forced to sell a load of gold. But there's a lot going on, and he could technically be prosecuted for that.
Well, there's a lot that's going on here in that domain and in others with election fraud from the election before this one that Trump lost, but he actually won, but they said that he lost it, right? And it installed, the nutty professor in his place, Biden. And it's all kind of in the early stages here. And everybody who is pro-Trump and who understands the unbelievable deceit and deception and money laundering that's been going on here is waiting for prosecutions. That's what everybody's on the edge of their seat for. Okay, enough is enough, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start putting people in jail and actually charging people with things. So that's what we're all waiting for here.
Well, I agree. And I hope that the Mandura affair, if you want to call it that, is a warning to people like Mandelson or others in the UK that if they have been a party to a conspiracy against the United States of America and the President of the United States of America, they can, by a grand jury indictment, they'll come and get them. I always said years and years ago, right, it was well known in the UK that if you counterfeited American dollars and you were indicted by a grand jury, that the Americans would come and get you. It don't matter where you was in the world, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's just happened with Maduro. So, I'm pleased to see all of that, but we'll have a further discussion on that because I think it's quite interesting. And there's some other things that are interesting that you sort of touched on last time. But the main thing for this audience is for you to explain who you are, because we'll probably get a few others coming in. Don't forget, sharing is caring. Hit the like button and subscribe. But Dr. Peter will explain who he is.
I appreciate the platform very much, Graham. So, hi, everybody. I'm a licensed naturopathic physician here in the U.S. And in the U.S., naturopathic medicine is quite a bit different than naturopathic medicine in the U.K. In the United States, it's full-blown primary care medicine. It's 4 years of pre-med at a fully accredited university, and then 4 years of naturopathic medical school at a fully accredited by the United States Department of Education naturopathic medical school. There are only 3 right now in the United States. Then you have to pass national boards, then you have to pass state boards, then you have to get a license to practice naturopathic medicine, then you have to secure 25 hours of continuing education credit every year. It's full-blown primary care medicine, but the emphasis is on attempting to cure the condition through the understanding of respect for and application of natural law. That's why it's called naturopathic medicine. It's very confusing to some people. Most people think that naturopathic doctors only use natural medicines, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I don't really think there is any such thing as a natural medicine unless you pick a leaf off of a tree and eat it, right? But our therapeutics are consistent with natural law, and our therapeutics attempt to cure the condition, which is in direct contradistinction to what the MDs do, bless their hearts. Your medical doctor may be the nicest person that God ever created, but your medical doctor practices allopathic medicine. And allopathic medicine is atheistic, it's extremely materialistic, and it doesn't teach its physicians how to cure most conditions, right? So the blood pressure is never cured, it's managed. The heartburn is never cured, it's managed. The eczema is never cured, it's managed. The asthma is never cured, it's managed. The depression is never cured, it's managed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the medicine that has been sold to us for the last 110 years as the best medicine money can offer, is the most science-based, clinically verified medicine in the world, and it's a lie. It's one system of medicine, and it's really good for trauma care, for military field surgery. You're in a car accident, you're bleeding to death, they'll save your life because that's their wheelhouse, that's what they're good at. But for most of the conditions that most people go to the doctor for most of the time, it doesn't work. It's the wrong dog for the hunt. It's a failed methodology. And the only reason that it still exists, and by the way, in first place, is because in the early 1900s, they legislated themselves there. I mean, I can practice naturopathic medicine in cancer hospitals in the United States, in 24 states. But if I was to do the same thing in the other 26 states, it's illegal. And in the state of Tennessee, it's a felony. They'd throw me in jail just for saying hello. I'm a naturopathic doctor. Would you like my help? Well, that's a felony. We haven't had medical freedom, not only in the United States, but in the UK as well, for over 100 years. And it's killing us slowly, while the MDs have been in exclusive control of the development and delivery of medicine. Chronic health has gone through the roof. Heart disease is through the roof. Alzheimer's is through the roof. Autism is through the roof. Just that people get sick. Everybody's sick all the freaking time. And it's not because of chemtrails. which are a very real thing, by the way. It's not because of the voodoo curse. It's because the medical doctors are the wrong dog for the hunt. They are not trained in health recovery. They're trained in disease management. They don't know how to make you healthy. They're simply not trained in it. And regretfully, ironically, tragically, there are other systems of medicine which have been suppressed by the medical doctors, by Big Pharma, by the American Medical Association, the Federal Trade Commission, and the Food and Drug Administration. These therapeutics, these other medical modalities, other medical disciplines like mine, we have answers. You just are not aware of them because of the jackbooted heel of the medical monopoly that's been on your throat for over 100 years. And this monopoly is so vast, so overarching, and so complete that you don't even know it exists. And this is a really, really big problem. This is why I get up in the morning, because I've been doing this for 37 years now. I know I don't look that old. And you wouldn't believe the things I've seen people recover from. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. We don't have the answer to all human ills. We don't. There are, we fail. Every once in a while, somebody comes to me and, oh, sorry, we tried, we can't fix it. But for most of the conditions that most people are suffering from, we have really sophisticated, clinically verified, science-based solutions. You're simply not aware of them, and you need to be. And that's why I put together my website, and that's why I wrote the books that I did. Because the whole thing here is you need to be taught what to do in order to make yourself healthy. And one of the things that you've been lied to over the last 100 years is that healing is complicated. And, you need a doctoral degree to figure that out. Well, it's not. Surgery is complicated. But to learn what to do to make your body fix itself, it's not that difficult. You just need somebody to line it up for you, and that's what I've dedicated the last 15 years of my life to doing. Putting together self-help health recovery information on my website, which walks you right through what to do in order to attempt to stimulate your body's natural ability to fix itself. I have over 105 illnesses listed. For each one of them, I tell you, this is what the MDs think about it. This is how they manage it. This is what the naturopathic doctors think about it, and this is what we do to try to cure it. Therapeutics, by the way, that you can entertain from the comfort of your own home, no private appointment needed. You should have been taught this stuff when you were in high school, but you weren't, and more's the pity. So if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, if you're seeing through the smoke and mirrors of conventional medicine, and you're tired, quite frankly, of all their BS, all their lies, all their deceit, all their misdirection, which was, wrought in boldface during COVID times, well then, become a subscriber, go to my website, use Graham's discount code, and become a subscriber, and let me tell you what to do, because healing the body is much easier than anybody has led you to believe.
And yeah, I mean, again, I've just put your website out there. It is important. It is in the link. I'm not sure if I've put the link in correctly, but I'll have to find a way of creating that so it works properly. So I've got a quick question. Let me see if I can put this in the chat, because I won't be able to pronounce it. It's going to go in the chat now. Do you know what that is? You've got the same thing in America.
Myalgic encephalomyelitis?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I've never even heard of that. But here's what I want to say about it.
Good.
Right? Because of the medical monopoly and all of the socialization that's come along for that in the last 100 years, we have been trained to genuflect at the altar of the MD's overarching intellect, which is exemplified by the names that they give to diseases. Oh, this person has myalgic encephalogongiolitis, right? Oh, thank you very much, doctor. That's very kind of you. That's very smart of you. Your wisdom is beyond compare. You must have a really, really high IQ, right? Medical doctors are famous for naming diseases. right? And I think the diagnostic codes in the United States have doubled in the last 3 years. The problem is that the medical doctors pride themselves on being able to name the disease, but they have no idea what causes it, and they have no idea what to do to cure it. I mean, heartburn. Your medical doctor doesn't even know what freaking causes heartburn, and they have no idea how to cure it. They can manage it, but they can't cure it, and they have no idea what causes it. The same for arthritis, the same for blood pressure, the same for most illnesses. They have no idea. But they can name it, and in naming it, they make you feel intellectually inferior. So, and there's a saying in this type of medicine that medical doctors, MDs, treat diseases. Well, Voltaire said it best. Medical doctors use drugs of which they know little to treat diseases of which they know less in human beings of whom they know nothing. Naturopathic doctors treat people. We don't treat disease. We treat people. I could have identical triplets. They all have strep throat. They would need 3 different treatments because you can't treat a disease. It doesn't exist. I can treat a person who's been told they have a disease by some knucklehead in a white coat and a stethoscope around their neck, but the name of the disease offers very, very little information as far as what to do to attempt to cure the condition. But this is what we've all become, socialized to think. Oh, myalgic encephalitis. Oh my God, I have Sjogren's syndrome. Oh my God, I have rheumatoid arthritis. Oh my God, I have Kaposki's sarcoma. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Thank you very much, doctor. Thank you very much. I genuflect at the altar of your overarching intelligence. It's a super bad situation, and yet here we are. So what I would do, here's what we do for everything, for everything. And this is based on 37 years of clinical experience. There are steps. And by the way, these steps are all outlined on the website. They're all outlined in the book. But I'm going to give you the cliff notes right here because, people are suffering needlessly. So the first thing to do with anybody in order to upregulate their body's ability to fix itself, we have identified 12 foods that nobody should look at, let alone eat. You have to stop eating food that's hurting the body. You have to stop putting diesel fuel into an unleaded engine, right? You just have to stop it. So we clean up our diet, number one. Number two, we give the body 90 essential nutrients. And then essential nutrient is something that the body needs, but it cannot make. The body needs calcium. It can't make it. It needs selenium. It can't make it. It needs vitamin C. Can't make it. There are 90 essential nutrients that the body needs. And guess what? They are no longer in the food that we're eating. Some of them are, or we'd be dead, but not all of them. And over the decades, the amount of essential nutrients in our foods has become less and less and less and less and less and less, and that was done on purpose by agribusiness. Agribusiness and the pharmaceutical industry are in cahoots. They grow food that's going to help you to get sick, and then you go to a doctor who doesn't know how to cure it. They just give you a drug to manage it. They kick the can down the road, and the longer that you go down the road, the sicker that you get, the more drugs that you need, and then you die. And it's a shit show, quite frankly, honest to God. So we fill the body's nutritional tank up, and then we give a little extra things. If it's a blood sugar condition, we give a little extra blood sugar support. If it's a liver condition, we give a little extra liver support. If it's a whatever it is, we give a little extra support on top of those two foundations of cleaning up the diet and filling your body's nutritional tank up. And then we wait 90 days. And then we see how far back the body bounces, right? And 83% of the time, and I know this because we've delivered these therapeutics to 10,000 people over the last 10 years, and 83% of people recover, just on the generic information that's available on the website and in the book. Now, that means 17% of the people don't, but 83% do. That's a pretty good number. So we do that for 90 days, and we see how far back your body's able to bounce. And then if you get stuck with something, you come to my live Q&A that I do for 2 hours every week, and you ask me a question about it, and I tell you how to modify the program. And then if you do that and you're still stuck and it doesn't work, then you need a private appointment with someone like myself. But that's the general gestalt for everything. So you've got asthma, point and click. You've got rheumatoid arthritis, you point and click. You've got TMJ, you point and click. Cystic fibrosis, point and click. Laryngitis, point and click. Atherosclerosis, point and click. I tell you what to do. And it has an extremely high level of success because remember, your body wants to fix itself. Your body knows how to fix itself. Your body wants to fix itself. Your body's trying to fix itself, but it needs help. And those last three things that I said, your medical doctors do not believe. Your medical doctor is an atheist when they go to work. MD medicine is based on Newtonian physics, and which argue if it can't be measured, it doesn't exist. So the MDs believe that consciousness itself is a function of biochemistry. There's no such thing as the spirit. There's no such thing as God. There's no such thing as the indwelling spiritual intelligence of the body. It's all a freaking fiction. When you die, it's lights out, game over. The persistence of consciousness after death is a myth. That's what they believe, and they're wrong. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience, and it is the intelligence of the indwelling spirit which is running everything in the body. Everything. We take advantage of that indwelling intelligence and we support it. That's what every system of holistic medicine does. Your Ayurvedic, your chiropractic, your homeopathic, your naturopathic, your botanical medicine person, whatever the heck it is, you are delivering therapeutics that support the body's ability to fix itself, which the MDs don't think is possible. So my mantra moving forward, I strongly urge everybody in the listening audience, fire your medical doctor immediately. Only go to them for trauma care and learn what to do to make yourself healthy, because these people are clueless and yet they're in first place. And the only reason that they're in first place is because they legislated themselves there, and they keep themselves in first place with the unbelievable political power and money of the pharmaceutical industry. And the big pharma has more money than God.
So just let me emphasise a couple of points that you've just made there. The first is, I'll start with the last one. Fire your medical doctor. In other words, sack him is the English term for that. And that again is what I say to people when they come to me with legal problems, and especially criminal courts. I say, have you got a British solicitor and have you got a British lawyer? And they say, yeah. And I say, sack them.
Yeah.
Represent yourself and understand what the law is, and go before a jury. And I can assure you, with your defence, you're going to get a not guilty. But if you use them, you're not. They're part of the system, and part of the system is sending you to prison or some other function of that system, right? The second thing to say, and I've written this down, you mentioned these people are designing foods and using substances and not having minerals in them, and especially the way that they're mistreating the soil. And we've covered this on the show before.
Ooh, where'd you go, Daddy? They just came and got him. He was either just transported by the aliens, or the MPs just came and took him away. I don't know which. Can you guys still hear me? If you can hear me give me a thumbs up. Yes, we can hear you in the chat room, please. Because I don't even know if you can see me, because Graham just vanished from my view. Yes, you can hear me? Okay, very good. Okay, so while we're waiting for him to come back, he's absolutely true. And this is one of the reasons why Graham and I are so simpatico, because what's happening with the law and your misdirected understanding of citizenship in the UK is very, very similar to what's happening with medicine. Because everything that you've been told about, well, not everything, but most of the things that you've been told about medicine are simply untrue. But they have become reality by consensus and enforced by a socioeconomic political system whose benefit it is to keep everybody sick. And if that's too strong of a concept to believe, if that concept is chipping away at your cognitive dissonance and you just don't have the ontological maturity to understand that yet, all you have to do is look around. How many people in your life do you know that are sick? How many people do you know in your life who are suffering with a chronic illness? How many people in your life are being afforded cures from the conventional medical doctors? The answer to these questions are obvious. Everybody is sick. That was the title of my second book. Everybody is sick all of the time. And it's not because it's your fault. It's the fault of the conventional medical doctor. You've been under their care your entire life, and you got sick while you were under their care. It's not because they're bad people. It's not because they want to keep you sick. It's because the system of medicine that they have been trained in is inconsistent with natural law. It's just wrong. They are the wrong dog for the hunt. They're like colorblind artists who don't know that they're colorblind. They're going to get it wrong even when they try their best. The only time they get it right in this analogy is when they paint and use black and white. Because, you know, if you're colorblind, you can draw pretty good with black and white. And that's with surgery and trauma care. That's their wheelhouse, is surgery and trauma care. They're good at that. But for everything else, they're not. And you should avoid them and learn what to do in order to make yourself healthy.
So one of the things that I was explaining to people, especially, so one of the things is the industrial farming methods, right? They take all of the minerals out of the soil. There's some places you can get a Brazil nut. If you check the soil, there's no selenium in it. So therefore, there's no selenium in the Brazil nut. But they're telling you that there is selenium in Brazil nuts. If it's not in the soil, it's not in the food.
Yeah, this is a big disconnect for most people. Most people that have, we're just not educated about this, and this is a problem, right? Minerals like calcium and selenium and phosphorus and zinc are essential nutrients, and there are 60 minerals that are essential to human health. And animals can't make a mineral, and plants can't make minerals, right? If a plant could make a mineral, we could bioengineer lettuce to make gold, and we'd all be rich. The only way that minerals get into the plants is if they're in the soil that the plant is growing in, number one. And number two, then we eat the plant, or an animal eats the plant and we eat the animal, and now we have minerals in the body. But there are 60 minerals that we need. And there's no place on God's green earth where they all exist in the topsoil. They're not there. And when you use an herbicide like Roundup or glyphosate on the crops, those chemicals leach down into the soil, and they harm the bacteria that the plant uses to suck the minerals up. So when you use an herbicide, the plant, by definition, is minerally deficient because of the action of the herbicide. So as time has gone by, the food that we're eating is less and less and less and less and less and less concentrated with minerals. And guess what has happened since they've been doing this? Chronic disease has risen and risen and risen. Because let me tell you something. If you remember nothing else from what I tell you, remember these two things. Sack your MD, and all chronic disease is related in some way, shape, or form to mineral deficiencies. You need minerals in your body to make your body run the way that God intended it to, right? You need to do things to keep your body healthy. You can't go out into freezing cold weather in your bathing suit and shovel your driveway. You're going to die from hypothermia. You need to bundle up and protect yourself against that stress, right? There are things that we need to do to support the body. Well, mineralizing is one of them. And unless and until you do that, you're spitting into the wind, because your body needs this stuff desperately, and it's not in the food, and that was done on purpose. Let me say it again. I am of the opinion that it was done on purpose, because if you don't have enough minerals in the body, you're going to get sick. Yep. Then the medic going to go to a medical doctor who has no idea what caused your illness, and they're just going to throw a drug at it. which is a pretty good business model, right? Because remember, in the infamous words of John D. Rockefeller, who was one of the proponents of the medical monopoly in the early 1900s, or he was one of the actors that made that happen. Rockefeller said, a patient cured is a customer lost. Now, I want you to think about that long and hard. And oh, by the way, in the United States, the only thing that can legally treat a disease is a drug. It's probably the same in the UK. So here's what that means. If I discovered that dandelions cured, bladder cancer, then the Food and Drug Administration would make it illegal to grow dandelions. And the only people that could make the dandelion medicine would be the pharmaceutical industry. And then they sell it to the patient for $1,000 a pill. That's exactly what would That's funny.
Dandelion extract.
I don't know why I picked dandelion. We're on the same planet wave, you and I, Graham. But it's a bad situation, folks. And, this from the Department of Redundancy Department. So forgive me if I'm, beating a dead horse, right? But you need to understand these things. And most importantly, you need to know what to do, man, to extract yourself from the medical mousetrap. And, like I said, myself and my colleagues, we don't have all the answers, but we have a lot of them because our therapeutics are based on our understanding of natural law, which is a law. I mean, it's like aerodynamics. There are laws at work. And if you know how to do it, you can fly the plane. If you don't know how to do it, you're going to crash the plane. It's the same with medicine. Your medical doctor crashes the plane all the freaking time, and they still have jobs.
Just to go, we'll come back. There's a question on the screen, but before we get to that, one of the things I wanted to make sure that people understand this, scientists who worked on making cigarettes more addictive, once it become known, and they outlawed it, those same scientists were taken on by the food processing plant to make processed food addictive, right?
Right.
One of the reasons why they load it with sugar, right? Because sugar is addictive to the body, right? Just as heroin is, and it's bad for you. And sugar, too much, certainly much too much processed sugar is very, very, very bad for you. But there is a question on the screen from John Aspinall, and it says, Doc, what does folic acid do to the body?
So folic acid is the synthetic form of folate, which is an essential nutrient for the body. And folate is required for a number of metabolic processes in the body. Off the top of my head, I forget which ones. But if you don't have enough folate or folic acid is turned into folate in the human body, you're going to get metabolic breakdowns. I mean, if your car runs out of oil, the engine's going to seize. Nothing wrong with the engine. The master cylinder is good. The spark plugs are good. The wires are good. The welds are good. Ran out of oil. Your tires need 32 pounds of air and they only have 10. They're going to roll off the rim. Nothing wrong with the tire. Just didn't have enough air in it. So it's the same with the human body. Off the top of my head, I forget what folate specifically does, but it's necessary.
So, and this will lead, I'm sure, into you speaking of something else, but folate is added to lots and lots and lots of things in the UK. They add it to lots of processed foods. They add it to bread. They add it to all sorts of stuff. I forget the word they use for it, but they add it. But again, one of the things that you could probably explain better than anyone else is it's a bit like if someone says to you, take zinc, and you just take zinc, you will call an imbalance in your body that your body's got to start making up for something. Do you want to sort of explain that to the audience? Because I find that fascinating.
Yeah, so in the wonderful world of medicine today, there are a lot of medical doctors who have seen the shortcomings of the pharmaceutical method, and they're starting to get their feet wet in the wonderful world of vitamin therapeutics and, holistic therapeutics that support the body's ability to fix itself. But they're using the same mindset that they used as MDs to bring to bear on the vitamin therapeutics. So they're using really high doses of individual vitamins like Linus Pauling, super high doses, intravenous gram doses of vitamin C, right? During COVID, lots of zinc supplementation, right? Lots of vitamin D supplementation, vitamin C supplementation during COVID. Everybody was taking massive doses of this. And you know what happened to people who did that? They got cataracts. Because that's what happens when you upset the apple cart with vitamins. And instead of, and by the way, that type of intervention is called fractionated nutrition. Fractionated nutrition, giving the body boatloads of 1, 2, or 3 nutrients instead of holistic medical nutrition, which gives the body everything that it needs. Because if you give the body everything that it needs, the body knows how to use it. But see, the doctors think that they're smarter than the body. They think that they're smarter than nature. They think that they can figure this crap out, and they can't. Because they don't understand that the body has a built-in God-given ability to fix itself, because they're atheists in their training. They don't believe that that's possible. So it's much better if you are doing a medical nutrition intervention to give the body everything that it needs in order to just guess or give the body boatloads of 1, 2, 3, or 4 things. Because if you do that, you will upset the balance in the body and you will have unintended consequences, which is exactly what happens with drugs, right? You take the diet. I was just listening at lunch to a direct-to-consumer drug ad on TV, and I even forget what it was for. I think it was a migraine medicine. And then, and then you hear and by the way, all of these direct-to-consumer pharmaceutical ads in the U.S., they're in women's voices, lively, upbeat women's voices, and over 50% of them have English accents. Because that's supposed to be, we're supposed to be able to trust that better, right? Now, side effects may include death. You may go blind. You may develop leukemia. But your migraine pain is going to be gone for an hour. But this is the same thing that happens. You have unintended consequences when you try to force the body's hand, which is what MD-directed medicine is all about. And sometimes that's a smart idea. Sometimes you need to force the body's hand. Like, when I'm in the dentist chair, I want to force the body's hand to deaden the nerve. I want to do that. Thank God for lidocaine, right? When you're having surgery, I want to force the body's hand to put me into unconsciousness. I want that to happen because I don't want to feel that. Well, sometimes that's a smart idea, but most of the times, for overall health conditions, it's just childish, and you will have unintended consequences. And again, because it's the only game in town, the medical doctors get away with it. And it's a shame, really.
Well, again, there's a number of questions that have come up there. So let me have a look and see. That was the other quick question. Do you know if you can attend our event conference in June?
Yeah, thank you very much for asking me that. So we just had a death in the family, and everybody's good. But it was a shock, and it upset all of our plans for 2026. Until like a month ago, I was all set to come to the UK in June, but now I can't do it.
Okay.
So regretfully, maybe things will change, and I'll be able to do it, but the chances are high that that's not in the cards for me in this June, and it's a shame because I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, no. Again, all I'm doing is making the audience aware. But we may be able to do something out there. But I particularly wanted to get you there if I could, like I said. But I understand that. Let me have a quick look at what's coming up in the So yeah, it's all on there and it's coming up. So um, there's a number of things that I've seen. So we're going to switch slightly subjects at the moment because there's so much going on politically. What I've seen lots of videos of Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
And he's now started talking about glyphosate and other bits and pieces, and said you should not be using that. And that is causing a lot of problems. But he does seem to be pushing forward. What's your opinion so far with what you're seeing?
Well, the chances are high that if Bobby Kennedy came to see me as a patient, I could fix his voice within 6 months. I can't guarantee anything, but the chances are high that that would be possible. But, that's probably not going to happen because in the United States, very few people understand what I have just explained to everybody. Very few people understand that the philosophy that MD-directed medicine is based upon. Very few people in this country even know how to pronounce naturopathy, Graham, let alone know what the hell a naturopathic doctor can do. So my colleagues and I are, the redheaded stepchildren that nobody wants to acknowledge here. And even though we have a lot of the answers, we're not going to be brought to the table, I don't think, in the near future. And that's a shame. The stuff that Bobby Kennedy is good, but all that it is doing is cleaning up the profiteering and the misdirections that have been incumbent because of the monopoly that's existed, right? I mean, absolute power corrupts absolutely unless you're God. And inside of a material monopoly, there's going to be funny business, there's going to be money laundering, there's going to be money grabbing, there's going to be lying, there's going to be deceit, there's going to be shenanigans, and he's going a long way towards cleaning that up, and that's a good thing. But what needs to happen? We need medical freedom. Because you cannot fix a problem from inside of the system that created the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is the medical monopoly. The problem is the MDs don't know how to treat chronic disease. They don't know how to do it. It's not because they're stupid. It's because it's not in their methodology. They don't know how to do it. They will never be able to do it. That's why we've poured billions of dollars into cancer research. Billions of dollars into ALS. Remember the ALS challenge that was going on years ago? Raised millions of dollars. There's no cure for ALS. There's no cure for cancer. There's no cure for heart disease. It doesn't exist. Billions and billions of dollars of research. Why is that? Because it's the wrong dog for the hunt, but they don't know that it's the wrong dog for the hunt. They're so egocentric that they can't possibly consider that there might be a better method than their method. They can't consider that.
Well,
That's a non-starter for them. What do you mean? I went to Harvard. I'm trained in the best medicine the world has to offer. And that's how they think.
Yeah.
What's needed is medical freedom. Like I said before, if I was to practice this medicine in 26 states, I mean, it's not easy to practice naturopathic medicine in the U.S. And it needs to be. We need to have naturopathic medicine and homeopathic medicine and chiropractic medicine and Ayurvedic medicine and botanical medicine, all protected under the law with, equal amounts of hospital privileges for all types of doctors. And insurance has to pay for everything.
Yeah.
In the 60s in this country, there were hundreds of chiropractic hospitals that people with serious illness would go to for treatment. And you know why there aren't any anymore? Because the insurance industry stopped paying for it. Period. Hard stop. End of story. Well, we need medical freedom. That's what Bobby Kennedy needs to legislate for. But I think he's so deep inside of the conventional medical matrix, I don't think that's even on his radar.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong.
That's it. Right, so just from a legal point of view, what we call in England anti monopoly laws. What I mean by that is no one is allowed to have a monopoly, right? The irony of that is monopolies are unlawful. There's a monopolies commission. There's big investigations if a company comes in and says they're going to take over this company because you're not allowed to have a monopoly on a particular area. The irony of this is, again, it's very similar to medicine, is that the legal profession in England has a monopoly.
Right.
They will not allow me,
Right.
unless I've taken their exams and rubber stamped by their universities, to stand before a judge. A judge will say, you are not a barrister, you are not a solicitor. They've actually brought out a law in 2007, which is the Legal Services Act of 2007, that further cements and enforces their monopoly. And that's why you've got bad justice. Because you don't get people like me standing in front of a judge saying this is what the law says, right? Well, unless I have standing as an individual, right?
Right.
The same thing happens in America, but you don't call it technically monopolies. You call it antitrust laws.
Right.
So people out in America would obviously know that Bill Gates and Microsoft were brought before the Senate and said, you need to explain why you have this antitrust. We have an antitrust issue with you because you're covering everything and we don't like it. Because the consumer is the one that loses, right?
That's right, yeah.
And it's exactly the same in medicine,
Yep.
both in England and in America. There is a monopoly that the pharmaceuticals, and it's such a bad monopoly. The same thing, again, is that the medical so-called profession are trained by the pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
The people making you ill are the people training the doctors.
Yeah, right. And they can, because it's a self-regulating, self-policing monopoly. In the United States, depending on which state you live in, if you have a child who's sick and you don't want them to be treated with conventional medicine, you want to do something else, Child Protection Services can come into your home and take the kid away because you're endangering the life of the kid, which is ridiculous. But that's an extreme example of what we're up against here, not only in the States, but in the world. Andy, you're right. It is the epitome of irony because it is the biggest monopoly. These two systems, the legal system and the medical system, can only exist by virtue of their monopolyhood. If I just made that word up, that's the only reason they're able to exist. If by some genie in the bottle magic, we were all to wake up tomorrow and there were just as many naturopathic doctors as MDs, just as many naturopathic medical schools as MD medical schools, just as many naturopathic hospitals as conventional hospitals, and insurance covered it all, if that were to happen, in 2 years, the medical doctors would be out of a job. Because in a free market, people gravitate towards what works.
Yeah.
And they'd stop going to the system of medicine that just kicked the can down the road, because why would I do that? So they need the monopoly to stay in place in order to maintain their jobs. Otherwise, they're all going away in a heartbeat.
And what's really important about this is if people was to stop the bad 12 food, take the essential 90 every single month, which is a fraction of the cost of the insurance, people wouldn't have the illnesses.
Yeah, so that's right.
Insurance companies would say, well, no one's becoming ill anymore. What's going on? And it's cheaper to actually supply that in quality. And again, there is quality. But just to get back to your point again, you just mentioned that if you was to take your child in America to a natural doctor, a naturopathic doctor, they could take the child and the state interfering, which it shouldn't do. But it's the same thing with education.
Right, exactly correct.
In the UK, right, if you homeschool your child and they don't like what you're teaching that child, which is the truth and the truth about history and the truth about this, they will take your child off you.
And God forbid you go into public and say something like that, because then they're going to arrest you as well. Don't have
Well,
free speech anymore.
let me tell you something. In the UK, you can get arrested and sent to prison for silently praying outside of an abortion clinic.
Wow.
That's how bad it is. And by the way, it's not getting any better. It's getting worse. This is a communist takeover
Yeah.
of England. They're attacking natural law, the common law, and the Constitution of England. But they're doing it in so many different ways. And the primary reason for that is because the law is a monopoly. And then what they do is they corrupt the lawyers who then become judges, and the whole thing is corrupt.
Right. And there's no jail for judges.
Well, technically, if you go back to King Alfred, 44 judges who issued wrong judgments, and 44 subjects of the realm of England were either hung or died because of it. Those 44 judges were then hanged for perjuring their oath, because the oath they take is a solemn oath, meaning to God, right, not just to the crown. And I think it was somewhere in the region of 200 to 300 that didn't cause people death, but caused them financial hardship. King Alfred then banished them from England and took all of their assets and their land off them.
Well, let's bring King Alfred back from the grave. Come on, let's go.
No,
We want King Alfred. Let's go.
But it's still law here. That's the thing. And when you explain it to people at the seminars, they're like, well, why aren't we doing it? Because the whole thing is corrupt.
Right.
It's as simple as that. But,
you know what I can't wrap my head around? I don't think I'll ever be able to wrap my head around is I understand that all of this has happened and is happening and is getting worse. I understand that. I understand it about politics. I understand it about medicine. I understand it about agribusiness. I understand it. What I don't understand, or what I can't wrap my head around, is the consciousness of the people who are behind it all. I mean, how could you do that?
Well, I've got an answer for you.
All right, I'm all ears.
If you want an answer to that, I describe it as dark personality. They're 10% of the population. So 90% of the population has intelligence and empathy. 10% do not have that function, right? They are called dark personality. That includes 4 types of people, but most people have heard of they've heard of all 4, but the 3 in particular are psychopaths, narcissists, and Machiavellians, and the last one is sadist. And what they do is they elevate themselves into positions of authority and power, because that is what they do. And they recognize each other and their traits. And the traits of them 4 things are exactly the same. And it's called dark personality. And you can test for it. You can scan someone's brain and see that the part of their brain that should have the conscious working is invalid. It doesn't work. But they look like me and you. They speak like me and you, except they can't help lying, and they permanently manipulate. If anyone's ever been, sadly, I was involved in a relationship with a female narcissist, and trust me, you've never known anything like it, right? People joke about narcissism. They are pure evil. Yeah. There is no other word for them. One other way I describe them people is fallen angels. That they were cast out from heaven, and they are on earth, and they are the people taking control of earth.
Well, I guess that's why all of your followers get up in the morning, is to, take a stand against this. I mean, you have to wonder, at least I wonder, when the population is going to reach a breaking point.
Yeah, no,
and we're going to say enough is enough, and we're just not taking this anymore. This is all bullshit.
Well, you've still got your guns.
Yeah, that's right.
And some Americans say, yeah, but you give them up. We didn't give them up. We never give anything up. It's still in our Bill of Rights. Our Fifth Amendment, we've got a Fifth Amendment. Our Fifth Amendment is where America got its Second Amendment. We've still got an English Bill of Rights. It's still enforceable. It's just that the judges won't enforce it. It's mad. It's mad.
Yeah, the whole thing is mad.
I mean, some idiot has now turned around in the UK, someone for reform, and said, we want to give a 5-year prison sentence to anyone carrying a knife. And I said, why would you do that? And they said, because knives are dangerous. I said, well, give us back our guns, and anyone who comes at me with a knife, I'll shoot them.
Yeah, I get it. The whole logic is inside out, upside down, backwards, and it does smell like a communist agenda. It does smell very much like that, right? I mean, I wish I had a a crystal ball that could see 50 years into the future to see how this would all shake down. But, this from the shameless department of self-promotion, right? I don't think, folks, I hope I'm wrong, man, but I don't think that in our lifetimes any of this medical stuff is going to happen from the top down. I don't think so. It might, and I hope that it does. But in the meantime, you need to figure out what to do to keep your body healthy. And it's not that hard. And that's why I write the books that I do. That's why I create and maintain the website that I do, because it's all about teaching you what to do right now, today, without the need of a doctor's appointment to make yourself healthy. It's self-help health recovery based upon 37 years of clinical experience. And, hundreds of hours or years of collective experience from all my colleagues. So it's a lot, and it's a good resource. Like I said, my colleagues and we don't have all the answers, but we have a lot of them. And you need to know what we bring to the table. You need to know what this perspective is so that you can empower yourself to become the hero of your own health recovery, because the medical doctors and the government they're not going to do that, I don't think, in our lifetime.
Let me just show people again. If the screen goes off, I'll have to reset again. But let me just show you this particular thing again on the screen. So this is Dr. Glidden's website, right? With all the experience just expressed, if you go back to the members page, which I am now, it will show the members content that you sign up for, new content, health recovery protocols. So you go to that. There's lots of videos about different things in there, right? And you click on health recovery. You go down and it says it on the screen. So you scroll down, it says health recovery protocols. And I'll give you an example. I'm going to go to, there's ADD, ADHD. Let's think of one that everyone, so arthritis. So click on arthritis, healthy joint protocol, arthritis. There's a video on there, which is Dr. Glidden talking to the audience with people and answering questions about arthritis. It then goes in and tells you what the MD says. So life, aging, genetics, MDRX, anti-inflammatory drugs, pain drugs, surgery, repeat, right? ND, so this is the naturopathic doctor, I believe. Nutrient deficiencies, consistent consumption of inflammatory foods. So the 12 foods that you should not be eating, you're still consuming, right? So you can't just take this protocol without removing them foods. And then there's a discussion on it, and then it tells you exactly what you need to do. So I'll skip over the doctor, meaning the pharmaceutical doctor, and then you go to homeopathy, natrum, fluoritum, bionase alba,
guaiacum, calibichromicum, ledum, rustox. Those are a list of homeopathic medicines which have been successful in treatment of arthritis. You need to see if the indications for that homeopathic medicine match your symptom complex. Above that, if you scroll back towards the top a little bit, right there, see where it's stop, go down a little bit. See where it says MyRx?
Yeah.
That's what you should do for 90 days if you have arthritis, in addition to the dietary change, to see if you get better. And 83% of the time you will.
So 90 essential 90. So you go for the essential 90 and the elimination of the 12 bad foods. So plant-derived minerals or ultimate mineral caps, which I've got here as well. 1 bottle per 100 pounds, meaning of weight, per month. This is in addition to what is already present. So you're doing that as well. And then beyond osteo, which I've got up there in my cupboard, good herbs, bone tissue support, glucogel tabs, etc. So everything is there. So I'm going to take. So don't forget, to the audience, this is a fantastic website. It is a massive. And I'm not just saying it to people. Dr. Glidden comes on every month, and we have a question, and we talk about different things, etc. If you was to go to that website, which you are getting a discount for, and you go to them, let's say you have got something wrong with you. Go on, look for the healthy protocols, the way that's going to actually fix your problem. Go in it, look at it, see what it says, print it out, order that stuff, and you do it. Don't forget, right? This isn't like when they're masking the problem and they give you a tablet. Yeah. This take your body needed whatever that ingredient was, and you'll put it in your body and you're building it up, and then over time, 3 months, 6 months, maybe 9 months, you should see a massive improvement, and you don't need pharmaceutical drugs. But it takes longer because you're replenishing your body.
Yeah, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. That's the other thing. Healing the body is a marathon. The old timers, the old naturopathic doctors used to say that it takes about 1 month for every year that you've been suffering with it in order to get better. So if you've had arthritis for 5 years, it's going to take 5 months for you to get on the other side of it. But every month you should see a decrease in the symptomology. It should be like watching ice melt in the springtime. But it's a point well taken. And also for the subscribers, I've got live Q&As for 2 hours every week. I've got a whole section called Medical Myth Busting, which helps you to understand like how to take your blood pressure correctly, and the truth about cholesterol, the truth about salt, the truth about vaccines. And by the way, this information is not some flavor of the month Amazon health coach BS. This is understanding from a licensed physician who's been practicing curative medicine for 37 years. And whose colleagues have been practicing it for longer. So, you know, this is a good resource. As far as I know, I'm the only one in the world that's doing it.
No, I agree. I haven't found it anywhere. I haven't found exactly what you've done there. That it is very rare for people to come along and put it up in such a succinct way where you can go to a particular condition, watch a video, and then look at the treatment plan. And like you've said already, if there was then an issue and it carried on and it weren't quite right, they would make an appointment to see either you online, or they would find someone in this country who does similar things. Someone's just asked a question, so it's all about minerals. The essential 90 are the 60 essential minerals. Then you've got amino acids, and then you've got vitamins.
Yeah, right? There are 60 minerals that the body needs, 16 vitamins, and 12 amino acids, and 2 essential fatty acids that the body needs for a grand total of 90. So the minerals are the lion's share. The minerals are 66% of your body's nutrient needs, but you also need vitamins, you also need amino acids, and you also need essential fatty acids. You can get some of your vitamins, amino acids and minerals and essential fatty acids from food. You can do that, but you can't get the minerals. You need to supplement with minerals or you're going to be SOL.
I agree, and they use rapeseed out here, which depletes the soil of all minerals, and then they do weird and wonderful things with with rapeseed that it is not conducive to your health or to the next crop. The other thing I was going to say, and this is probably going to set you off into a mini rant. what is your opinion of statins?
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Statins, if I had to guess, I would say that statin drugs were produced by a demonic mind that wanted to increase or decrease people's ability to think straight. Because there's a Russian doctor, his name is Ufi Ravenskov. You can go to his website. Yeah, I'll type his last name into the chat box here because it's a weird one. Ravenskov. He did a meta-analysis of all of the research ever published anywhere. And his conclusion from objectively looking at all the research was there's no relationship between high cholesterol and heart disease. It does not exist. Let me say it again. There is no relationship between high cholesterol and heart disease. It does not exist. Cholesterol is not the Antichrist. The purpose of a statin drug is to dramatically lower your body's, the total amount of circulating cholesterol in the body, because the medical doctors have convinced themselves that cholesterol is bad for you, even though the body makes it. This is because they have a juvenile understanding of how the human body works. And for them, it's all about reality by consensus, and just listen to what the pharmaceutical rep has to say instead of doing their due diligence to actually read the research themselves, because most medical doctors don't have the intellectual capacity to do that, nor do they have the time to do it. If they did, they wouldn't prescribe statin drugs. But since the advent of statin drugs in the early 80s, Alzheimer's appeared out of nowhere. And if you look at the prescription of statins and the incidence of Alzheimer's, they parallel each other almost exactly. Now, you know, does correlation go to causation? Not all the time, unless it really does. And in this case, I believe that it does. And this is so bad that now even on the statin drug label, they're giving warnings that this can cause memory impairment. And this is not rocket science, because 90% of the part of the brain that's affected by Alzheimer's is made from cholesterol. That's what it's made from. So when you drive cholesterol into the ditch with statin drugs, your brain's going to dry up and you're going to have all kinds of problems. Oh, and by the way, every sex hormone in the human body is made from cholesterol. So when you dry cholesterol up with statin drugs, your sex hormones go into the ditch, and now you have erectile dysfunction. If you're a man or if you're a woman, you have hot flushes of menopause for 3 years instead of for 3 months. Why? Because your body can't make the hormones that it needs to. Why? Because you don't have enough cholesterol. Why? Because you followed the advice of a medical doctor who is too lazy to read the research for themselves. It's a gigantic problem. I have very few recommendations, global recommendations for the elimination of drugs. The 2 drugs that you should absolutely positively get rid of immediately are statin drugs and any type of proton pump inhibitor or antacid, because that stuff will really hurt you, in my opinion, over time. They're bad. They create all kinds of sequelae which are dangerous and harmful, and you should not use them at all. Now, if you are taking a proton pump inhibitor or an antacid, it's because you were bothered by heartburn. So when you stop that drug, the heartburn's going to come back. You need to know what to do to try to help your body to cure it. And I can cure heartburn in my sleep. It's one of the easiest things in the world to fix. And that's all lined up on the website. So my advice is stop taking statin drugs immediately and learn the truth about cholesterol, which you will find on my website.
So if you cook with fat, what we call lard, right?
Oh, that's the best way to cook.
Right. So if you're consuming animal fat, right? So lots of people are on carnivore diets, right? And some of them are there's a whole history of this in Argentina. I read quite a long paper about their, what you would call cowboys, and they only ate beef, nothing else, with the fat, in whether it be a stew, whether it be whatever the way they cooked it, and they consumed the whole lot, including the bone broth. And they was living till they was 100, still riding horses, still doing their job, and everyone was looking at them, and when they stopped that, that's when they started to become ill. They was all like big, strong men. And I always say to people, especially to vegans, I don't understand how they can say that they don't want to eat beef or animals. When you look at beef cattle, even if you looked at a buffalo, all it frigging eats is grass. So if it's consumed the grass and it can build its muscles and make it into this massive giant of an animal, right, with big strong bones, then why shouldn't you consume it? Because we're in the hierarchy. We let it consume the grass and we consume it.
You see, this is one of the problems that exists in contemporary medicine right now. This, again, because of the monopoly, that all of the research done on all of this stuff is extremely one-sided and prejudiced, right? So, I mean, honestly, you are correct. And I am of the belief that you can be a healthy vegan, you can be a healthy vegetarian, you can be a healthy carnivore. There are ways to do it. There are foods that you shouldn't eat, that nobody should eat, regardless of which dietary discipline you're doing. And if you're a vegan, you're going to be deficient in amino acids, and you're going to be deficient in omega-3 essential fats, and you're also going to be deficient in minerals, more than a carnivore or a pescatarian or a lacto-ovo-novo from Provo, right? So the dietary discipline that you're following is going to have built-in weaknesses that you need to be aware of and that you need to shore up with your supplementation. Otherwise, something's going to break and you're going to get sick. You can do it. You have to learn how to do it. But here's the deal, Graham. And then there's one more thing I want to say. I can't honestly tell anybody even how much water they should drink or how many bowel movements they should be having every day, because nobody knows. Because that research hasn't been done. There's a lot of different doctors with a lot of different opinions on it. But it's never been proven that this way is the way, and we need to figure that out. There's 20 different dietary disciplines, right? That all these doctors with, they've sold millions of books have an idea about, and well, maybe, but we need to figure this out. And why hasn't this been figured out? Because we don't have medical freedom, and there's no holistic medical research institute that exists, because if in the States, the Food and Drug Administration would shut them right down. So that's another reason that we need medical freedom, because we're 100 years behind where we should be right now. We're 100 years behind where we should be because of the medical monopoly, number one. And number two, somebody has come on here saying, Dr. Glidden is paid to sell this stuff. I'm not. I'm not paid. I don't make any money from the sale of these nutritional supplements. I'm not a member of the company. I don't have stock in the company. I don't even like the people that run the company, if I need to be totally honest with you. The reason that I recommend their stuff is because it's the most effective clinical stuff I've ever seen in 37 years of clinical work. I mean, somebody has to be number one. Now, all wine is made from grapes, but there's a big deal of difference from a nice bottle of, 2000 Chateauneuf du Pape and Annie Boonsprings green apple wine, right? There's a big difference. What's the same with nutritional supplements? There are some companies that do a really good job of it, and those are the companies that I promote, and I don't make any money from them. There's a lot of distributors around the world who sell these longevity products, and they don't pay me. The only thing I make money from is from my private consults with people and from my website subscriptions. That's it. I have divorced myself from the sale of the nutritional supplements, and I did that on purpose, because if I didn't, the Food and Drug Administration would throw me in jail. They would. So I don't. I can't. I don't make any money from the sale of the supplements.
Let me just emphasize this as well. It took me a lot of research to find you. I found you. We contacted each other. You've been coming on the show once a month since, and on this show, you have actually come up with products that are nothing to do with longevity, and said you need this. You will recommend what is best for the patient, right?
Yeah.
And the best product out there, without any doubts whatsoever. There's loads of different people. Supplement companies are probably as bad as pharmaceuticals, right? Because you never know what's in it.
You know, when I first came out of medical school, a friend of mine who used to be a pharmacist and then he went to naturopathic medical school, he looked at the industry and he was horrified at the lack of quality control. So he started a vitamin company. It was called Vital Nutrients, which has since been sold and it's no longer what it used to be. But back in the day, their claim to fame was that they did more testing of their raw materials and, you know, after they encapsulated and bottled them, they tested the stuff more than anybody else. That was their marketing, you know, agenda. That was what they used in order to sell their products instead of somebody else's product, because they did do more testing than anybody else did. And I was having dinner with the guy that founded the company a couple of years into it, and he told me, he said, you know how many raw materials we return? Because, you know, we ordered grade A, but we got grade C, or it was contaminated, or there was mold in it, or it said vitamin B on the label, but it was actually vitamin C in the container, right? They would return 19% of their raw material because it just was bad. Now, what do you think the manufacturer did with that? You think they threw it out? No, they sold it to another company. So, right, all wine is made from grapes, but there's a great deal of difference from bottle to bottle, right? It's exactly the same with the nutritional supplement industry. And the supplements that I recommend because they're the most effective ones I've seen in 37 years of clinical experience. As a matter of fact, I just got a package from this guy in the United States. He was a very famous kickboxer, UFC champion. And once he retired from that, he started, for some reason, getting into soil science and figuring all this stuff out because he wanted to help farmers grow healthy crops, put the minerals back in the soil. I don't know why he wanted to do that, but that's what he did. And he said that he has discovered a better mineral source than the one that Longevity uses in their minerals, and it's in Iceland somewhere. Or no, it's not in Iceland. It's above the Arctic Circle somewhere.
Greenland.
Greenland. Yeah. He just sent me a big package of it. I'm going to start using it, and I'm going to see if, in fact, it produces better results than the stuff that I'm promoting right now. And if it does, guess what? I'm going to promote that. Because the only thing that I'm concerned with is helping people to recover their health. And, you know, you have to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Put me in touch with him if that is the case.
I will, absolutely. Yeah.
Because that's the main thing about this show is constitution, because the synchronization or the synergy, I should say, between natural law and the constitution and the body and nutrition are exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't got proper nutrition, you become ill. If you haven't got a constitution and the common law, society becomes ill, which is what we're seeing now because it's not being enforced. By the way, the word you was looking for that company, bearing in mind I used to be in sales, where their main selling point was they kept testing and they would send back unless you come to their quality standard, is unique selling point. So
that was their unique selling point. Yeah.
They tell people this is what we do and that's why it's the best.
I mean, if most people knew, you know, like there was remember that guy, Anthony Bourdain? He was like a famous chef and he had a TV show in the United States and he'd go all around the world and he'd sample all these weird foods. He was pretty famous. He became famous because he wrote a book called Kitchen Confidential. Which talked about all the shenanigans that went on in the kitchens of these, you know, 5-star restaurants. And like people went, oh my God, I can't believe it. They actually do that. Yeah, well, they do it. It's the same with the vitamin industry. And if people knew what really went on, they'd be horrified. And also, I don't know how much you guys know about this in the UK, but in the United States, there's this reality show called Cops, where they follow police around with cameras and microphones, and there's no editing. They just follow cops around and see what they do, right? And if they did that with medicine,
no, I agree. Yeah.
because all the shows that are about medicine now are completely myth.
Yeah.
What they're telling you is happening in the hospital on the TV dramas about doctors and on the movies about doctors is absolutely not what's happening at all. I don't know if you've ever had the bad luck to have a loved one be hospitalized and see all the stuff that goes on there. I mean, it's unbelievable. And again, this because of a self-policing, self-regulating medical monopoly that is so overarching
Let me
that
just say
people don't even know it exists.
this is so important. You've just brought something up that the audience in the UK will know exactly what I'm talking about, right? A nurse in the UK was, in effect, auditing, in other words, became a whistleblower. She was internal to the National Health Service, to a hospital in Lancashire, actually Cheshire, that's called the Chester Hospital. And a number of babies, little tiny babies, right, premature babies died. It turns out that there was raw sewage running through the actual hospital ward, right? A lot of these babies died of an infection that you get from human excrement and everything else that was running through that sewage, right? I don't know if you know this, Dr. Glidden. She was actually prosecuted for killing them babies and got 15 life sentences. And for 2 years, I've been talking about it on this show, saying they are corrupt. She did not do it, right? Now, they've started to look at it. The judge has just resigned. The prosecutor is, see you next Tuesday. And her defence was exactly the same. The whole group of them, because of that corrupt system, put a working class nurse who loved kids and babies, right, in prison for 15 whole life terms. That means she will never be released from prison because she stood up against the system. The National Health Service is the most dangerous, corrupt practice anywhere in the world. Just to let you know.
Period. Hard stop. And, I mean, again, this from the Department of Redundancy Department. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, folks, and you don't really know how bad it is until someone in your family or you gets trapped inside of it. So don't get trapped inside of it. Learn what to do to make yourself healthy. Learn it today, right now. Become educated. It's not that hard. And regretfully, Graham, I have to bounce. It's the bottom of the hour, and I have a client.
No problem. Thank you for.
It's always a pleasure, man. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Keep up the good work, buddy.
We always manage to have a really great conversation. I love you coming on the show. So does the audience. Thank you very much, and good luck and be lucky.
Thank you. Live long and prosper.
Bye-bye. I can't do that. My fingers won't part. I'm not an alien. A Vulcan. Here, look, I can do it really. Look. Hang on a minute. There you go. Look, I'm a Vulcan now. I can't do that. Can anyone out there do that? Right. So I'm going to finish the show by obviously saying to people, Dr. Glidden, right? He is one of the, he's probably one of the best doctors I have ever had the pleasure of knowing. There's so many things. And again, pharmaceutically trained doctors are trained by the pharmaceutical companies. It is a literal monopoly, and we need free markets. And the only way to get a free market is to stand up and say we want that. Again, lastly, I am going to say I am not standing in the election in Gorton. Nick Buckley, OBE, CBE, whatever he is, comes from the area. There are things I don't like, right? The fact that he promoted his YouTube channel, it got a number of subscribers because he was talking of England and he's gone into Reform UK. It's not Reform UK, Advance UK with Ben Habib, who will not talk of England, right? Ben Habib is at best naive, at worst malicious towards England. But I do believe that Nick Buckley deserves, because he's local, because he's known, he's 100% in front of Labour, 100% in front of the Greens, 100% in front of everyone else. I would, or one of our members, we was all ready to go. We could have got in there and done it. I want to see if he does get elected, or even on his campaign, whether he speaks of England, right? Because that will tell you, Rupert Lowe's out there, whilst he talks about Britain and the British, on his Twitter, he says, I am an Englishman. I live in England. My constituency's in England, right? I'm English. He's not frightened of saying it, right? And again, you've got to be talking about white people and white English people, because we are under attack in a big way, whether it be the Jesuits, whether it be the Jewish mafia, and there's various forms of that, or whether it be the jihadists. But one way or the other, and don't forget Rupert Lowe and technically ours, because we also donated to the inquiry. I'm seeing a lot of idiots out there on Twitter having a go at him, saying it won't get anything done. It's got no legal standing. It's got every legal standing. And he's talking about a private prosecution at the end of it, or private prosecutions, plural, at the end of it. Do private prosecutions still happen? Yes. If it's the right type of prosecution, which is the Criminal Justice Act 1988, Section 134, torture, because that includes acquiescence of the state, consent in effect of the state, omission of anyone omitted to put things in. So, in other words, saying that these people are Pakistani Mohammedans, right? I'm not using the word Muslims anymore. They are Mohammedans. That is the way that we used to describe them. That is what they are, right? Political correctness got in the way. Muslims, they're not. They're Mohammedans. Call them what they are. Now, most importantly, you've also got an act. There were many police officers raping these white English working class girls all over England. And it was predominantly English white working class girls that were targeted by these people, right? Including Gordon Brown sending a note to the police to say that it's their choice. It's a lifestyle choice of what they're doing. 10-year-old kids, 11-year-old kids being raped, right? So what Rupert Lowe and the team have done the first day today is that I would like Nick Buckley to be in that parliament. I would love to be in there. Let me tell you something. If I ever get into that parliament, I doubt if I ever will, you will see a maiden speech like you've never seen before, right? But the problem with these people is they do not like the English. And again, people like Ben Habib do not like the English. What can we do? So hopefully I have let you all know how we feel about that. Cool, yeah. Any other questions from anyone and the audience before I close the show off? And don't forget, hit the like button. If you're watching on catch up, hit the like button. Don't forget, sharing is caring, and subscribe. And the more you get this message out, subscribing is crucial. We're going to start putting out lots of little shorts out there at the moment, and whack them up there. So any parts of the show you think would make a good short, let us know. It's easy to do it on there. You can just go on there and expand it slightly and go bing and send it straight up as a short. I've done one tonight. I don't know if I think it's come up as a short, and everyone should see it. That's it. So good night. God bless. Don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution is the solution. Tomorrow night we'll be live at 8 p.m. And just to let you all know, I will be on another show tomorrow night after at 9 p.m. So we're going to have a short show tomorrow night, but we're going to be out there. This is the guy I'll be speaking to tomorrow night. Hopefully we'll pick up some more subscribers. and we'll get there. So 1,300 seizures per month, 17 medications a day, 2 years, 1 drop of oil, seizures 2 p.m. If you wish to send Daddy Dragon a personal donation, thank you very much. There's another one that you can do as well, which I will be issuing that again later, which is donations. Let me see if I can actually bring that up. I'd have to go into this. So Tracy, let me have a look. People are saying I've disappeared. Let me have a look at that one. Oh my good God. Let me have a quick look at this. I'm trying to find my little thing where it goes there. There it is. So I'm going to put that on there a second. Why ain't that working? I've got no idea. It looks like it's seized up. There's another one there. I'm going to put that out there. See if it works. Many people are out there looking at this. Let me go on to here. There it is there. If you want to make a donation to the show, you want to do a monthly contribution, it's all there. Why ain't that coming out? Hit the button again. For some reason it don't allow it to come up. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, it's there. That's it. Good night. God bless. Let me have a look on here. No other questions. I am off. Tiddly poo. Au revoir.